Bon dia a tots.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I am delighted to inaugurate three exhibitions on Enric Miralles and celebrating it here in this beautiful room, the Tinell. We will discover the architect Enric Miralles. I don't know quite how to start. I am really happy, really excited, and I really must thank to all those people who have believed in this project and everyone who has helped to set up this exhibition. All of this started off with an idea of the Edinburgh Parliament building, which for Enric Miralles was the high point of his career. But as last year was the 20th anniversary, the project transformed, and the people who were working on the Edinburgh project, the regional government and the City Council of Barcelona, we started working with Joan Subirats and Àngels Ponsa, and we've reconceived the idea of having this celebration. And Joan Roig joined us to make this event more powerful. Besides the Enric Miralles Foundation, it was a personal project, and this has allowed the project to gain strength. So this is wonderful. It makes me really happy. What we've tried doing here is to set up an exhibition where architecture is made accessible to all, so it is understandable and easy to communicate. This is something we've worked on a lot with Joan Roig, and I think sometimes architecture is difficult to grasp, or people don't really think of architecture as an artistic manifestation that often. So this morning, I was reflecting, and when I worked next to Enrique, I read a book about Tiziano, who was a painter, as you all know, and we all admire Tiziano's work, and his way of working was very similar to our way of working as architecture. He was a grand master. He was the person who gave ideas about his art and all of the work that went around in his workshop. He really saw it as a similarity. The way architects work today is in a way similar to the way in which big grand painters and artists work. So I think there is this way of being artists collectively. I think it's perhaps more difficult way of working, but it is being used more and more today. And I think Enric Miralles never worked alone. I think it's difficult to separate the fact of designing projects with other members and being a unique artist. But I think through the similarity with Tiziano, we can understand that we are here to explain the figure of Enric Miralles as an individual artist, even if he worked in a group. But he was very specific in his individual facet. And I think this helped him understand architecture differently. He's so intimate, it's so artistic and so specific that that makes him gives him the capacity to communicate. So I think this is the intention behind this exhibition, that is to explain the figure of Enric Miralles as an artist who can bring positive vibes to a broader audience, not just for architects, but also people from other disciplines. And at the same time, it helps understand how Enric Miralles can influence other people. So I will now explain what we have done. I'll give the floor to Joan Roig to explain what we've done. He is the curator of this exhibition. So, Joan, the floor is yours. When Joan Subirats when Joan Subirats asked me if I wanted to participate in this project, I thought it was a very important proposal. And when we were thinking about this exhibition, we wanted to engage as many institutions as possible, not just the Catalan regional government, but other local institutions to give prominence to the figure of Enric Miralles. It was very difficult putting this exhibition together, but there were two reasons why we decided to organize it here in this room in the Tinell. One reason was because in 2008, um, there was an important exhibition on architecture, and in 1956, apologies, the sound quality is a bit low. I say this because there are many generational similarities. Enric was a great architect, and he would take the tools, work with his generation of artists, that whether it was iron or stone, and would work in collaboration with other great artists. And to an extent, the same was true for Enric. He was very special, and as Benedetta was saying, he worked individually, but he also always teamed up with other colleagues in his work. And in doing so, when he was thinking of ideas, he always had very present the fact that he wanted to reach as much audience as possible. The good thing is that he's not only a unique personality as an architect, but also an artist. He was very good at doing collage in his works, putting pieces together using different materials, and you will be able to see this in the exhibition. And we will hear from different personalities on how his work evolved over the years. And we are very happy with the way in which this exhibition has been set up and how influential Miralles was on the new younger generations. This exhibition, this work will allow people to pick up Miralles' legacy and draw inspiration from it. And it will also allow visitors to delve into his more personal facets. And we hope that people who visit this exhibition will understand his figure and his works. Thank you. Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to thank the director of Joan Roca, the director of the Barcelona History Museum, for allowing us to host this exhibition in this very emblematic building. And I'd also like to thank the Catalan regional government for joining in this project. The works of Enric Miralles are not just here in Barcelona. There are many places around the world where we can enjoy his works. I would also like to thank the City Councillor for Tourism and Creative Industries for also joining this project, because as we said, architecture is not always an easy discipline when organizing exhibitions, and beyond doubt, Barcelona has a strong influence in terms of architecture. And Mireia Solar from the hub understood that this space could be the ideal space to hold an exhibition on design and furniture. Obviously, the Professional Association College of Architects, who and ITSAP, which is the Superior School of Architecture, where Miralles was a teacher, and for we were able to have close relationships, and I'm very happy today. I'm sure I'm happier than I should be, perhaps, from an institutional point of view, because I feel especially happy because the relationship with Enrique wasn't just of admiration for his works, but that we were personal, close friends for many years, and I have many stories that I shared with Enrique, and therefore I wanted to thank this opportunity to inaugurate this exhibition. I think everything has been said about Enrique. He was a person who, to some extent, had very special features. It was very difficult for him to start off from a theoretical perspective. He could take any element and turn it into and give it a new approach. And he had this extraordinary capacity to recover and include pre-existing elements into his work. And we can see this, especially in the case of the Parliament building in Edinburgh. He was able to perfectly merge this new building into the existing landscape. He was a person who generated enthusiasm, who had a huge curiosity for everything around him. He had a very specific virtue, and it's not always easy to find. He was able to recover many of the objects and works from the past and include them into his work. I have a specific anecdote. We had a barbecue once and he went off track. We ended up in a village that I'd never been to before, where next to an old church there was this fountain, which was nothing special. It was just a fountain, and it this fountain depicted the jobs of the past. Apologies, the image has frozen. Um, sorry, the sound is cut off. Apologies. We will resume interpreting as soon as the sound comes back. Apologies. It is true that I was able to know. I really want to congratulate the organizers of this. And as a teacher, Miralles, the many architects, new generations of architects um, were inspired by him and who feel they are conveying his legacy. And this is something that makes this event so important because it will open up the figure of Enric Miralles to so many people. And we hope it will show the passion Miralles showed in everything he did. And I think right now, when we are talking of the figure of Enric Miralles, we need to convey the importance of his figure and his legacy. So I hope citizens will enjoy his work because in his studies they can feel his passion. The work of an architect is always creative and it always goes beyond calculations and design. Joan Roig was saying that we have to pass this on to the new generations. And in an interview in 1999, he was saying the job of an architect, our vocation grows with practice. And I think we must all feel congratulated for having been able to come together to, in this event, to honor his memory. It is much more than a homage to him. All of the organizations in this exhibition, all of the city councils that are lucky enough to have work by Enric Miralles in their holding are invited to join this homage. The project hasn't ended, but anyone is welcome to join. Apologies, the sound is also fading. In the Enric Miralles Foundation, we will have an exhibition on his works, on his architecture studio, and then we will have an exhibition on furniture that will happen at the time of the Barcelona Design Week, and there you will be able to see some of Miralles' furniture firsthand. Then later on in the month of September, there will be another exhibition on Enric at the School of Architecture, where we'll be able to see his more personal aspects as a student and as a teacher. There will be several architectures there to speak about the figure of Enric Miralles. And all of these events will be useful to better understand his works. We will also be publishing a brochure of the exhibition. Apologies, the sound issues, the sound quality isn't good enough for the interpretation. Apologies. We will also see all of the books that have been published on Enric with pictures. Some of them are more academic, others are more for the general public, and there are 5 or 6 of these books available. There are books about his works, but there are also books about architecture and his life, where he is mentioned and the idea would be for the whole of Barcelona to come together and to showcase some of his most prominent pieces of work. Apologies, the interpreters cannot hear the questions being asked from the floor. On a more personal note, Enrique always tried to bring in his own personal elements into his architecture. And if we look at all of the booklets, 5 booklets where you can see his work there. Pages and pages of work. And this is, books have been digitalized and they have also been included in the exhibition. And this is another interesting part of the exhibition. The drawings, those pages also reflect some of the more personal moments in Enric Miralles' life, or hand drawings of projects, houses that he drew for himself, for his own use. And perhaps because these projects are more private or more intimate, we can see in them his purest form of art. They are unique pieces of furniture that are very original. I have a question with regards to this homage to Enric Miralles. The Olympic, will the Olympic building be involved? Will there be any other building of national interest in this exhibition? The Catalan Heritage Commission has been contacted. We have been studying the possibility of including some prominent buildings. Sometimes we do not have the sufficient resources to restore all of the buildings that are in need of restoration. In the case of the cemetery in Igualada, we have sped up the process to remodel the cemetery building, but it is not possible always to do everything we would like to do, of course. Are there any other questions from the audience? If there are no further questions, we can now go and visit the exhibition. And of course, we will be available to answer any possible questions you may have during the visit. Thank you all very much.